right, y'all. It is Tuesday. It is right afternoon, around 12:13 on a Tuesday. Come in, stop for a second. Just share this space with me just for a quick second. I promise you, I am not going to hold you long at all. What I am is on assignment. If you have caught a live that I've done here recently, I made a promise to God that I was going to do 7 lives in October. So me, major procrastinator, we're at the ending of October, and now I am putting in my work. I am doing exactly what I promised God. So we're at the 4th of the 7th live that I promised God that I was going to do. So if you have a moment, if you're not too busy, can you please just pause with me as I am obedient? If you don't catch this on live, it is okay. Come back to it, catch it on replay. What I do believe and what I understanding is that this will catch you on God's timing. And I understanding that God's timing is always greater than my timing because God's timing is the perfect time. I labeled this live as, what did I label this one? Your asking is not in vain, I believe. Yeah, your asking is not in vain. So I'm going to go ahead and get right to it. I don't want to just give you something that sounds good or that looks good because I need an entourage or some cheerleaders. I want to give you something that comes from Word so you'll be able to go back and do your own follow-up and do your own homework and have your own encouragement. So if you have a moment, just mark where we're at right now on this live, or you can come back to it at a later time. But I'm going to give you Matthew 7:7. Again, that's Matthew 7:7. And the word actually states, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. That is the word. I didn't make that up. As good as that sound, I can't take any credit from that. But I just want to just have a quick moment to remind somebody that your speaking is not in vain. A lot of times we go through stuff in life, and I know that I'm not the only one, that you're needing a right now answer and try to figure it out all by yourself. I make it a point to say all the time that you have not because you ask not, and that I serve a God and you serve a God that is for the asking. But what does that mean? Ask and it shall be given unto me. Seek and it shall find. Knock and the door will open. What does that actually mean? Ask God. The reality is that if you ask God for anything, that you can have a multitude of things. But if you're asking God for something, then understand that you may not always be in a position to receive what it is that you've asked God for. In order to receive the things that you've asked God for, sometimes you have to be put into a position. Sometimes your heart have to change. Sometimes you have to be softened. Sometimes your circle may have to change because you asked God for something. Now, if you want a shortcut of something, or if you want something that looks good, that's not tangible, that expires, that does not have longevity, the only thing you got to do is just open up your mouth and just ask the world. Just say, hey, world, I want to be in this number. I need a temporary fix. I need something right now. But if you're showing up in a space and you're asking God for something, I want to encourage somebody on this day that if you've been asking God for something, well, first, back up. Before I say if you've been asking God for something, I first need you to understand that God is for the asking. There is nothing that is too big. There is nothing that is too small. There is nothing that is too complicated. There is nothing that is too heavy. There is nothing that is too dark that you cannot invite God into. God is for the asking. And the reason that you may not have what it is that you want, or have the thing, or don't have light in certain situations, because you haven't opened up your mouth and asked. That's the first thing. God is for the asking. So you have to open up your mouth and ask. But something happens when you open up your mouth and you ask God for something. God begins to work on that thing that you asked for. And a lot of things that you've asked for, because you include God in it, is because you was not able to get it done by yourself. You wasn't able to understand that situation by yourself. You wasn't able to love yourself completely the way you desire to be loved. You are not able to give yourself that financial overflow, that financial fix that you want. So you invite God off into that thing and say, God, I'm asking you to do something that only that you can do. And if you could have done it by yourself, 9 times out of 10, you wouldn't even brought God off into that thing. But if you bring God off into your asking, know that there are some things that are required to be done in you that God needs to do. And the way that God does things, he has a strategy the way that he does things, because even though you opened up your mouth because of the things that you want, the desires of your heart, the way that God works is God does not just bless you. When God gives to you and everybody around you. All of a sudden, God turns your enemies, the people that said you were crazy for even asking of that, God would turn them in such a way that they're a witness. I witnessed her asking something that she did not even qualify for. I witnessed her asking or going after something that I know that it was out of her reach. I witnessed him being patient on God to move that or give him the strength to go through that. I witnessed that. So your asking is not in vain, but in order for God to get the fruit out of your asking, then a lot of time God got to remove some things, put in some things, tweak some things to brighten up some things. And you find yourself seem like you're going all the way around it. The minute that you ask God for something, seem like you're going backwards, seem like you're going to the left when you want to go to the right. God takes you on a journey where you're able to pay attention to everything that is around you. Like, have you ever went on a trip, and the same trip you could have got on a flight because you want to get there quickly, but have you ever gathered your family and say, let's take a road trip? I don't even have a time of when we're supposed to get there. I just want to take a road trip. It's something about when you just get on the road. You pay attention to things that you could have never seen if you would have flown there. You find some of the best places to eat at because they're hidden in between the journey of where it is, of where you're going. The way that you're going to be fed or you're being fed while you're on the journey is a little bit different because you just took your time by just going to the destination that you're going. You have no time. You're not rushing the process. I know that I'm going to get there. I've never went this way before, but I'm going to take my time and go there. See, that's how God goes. That's how God works it out when you ask God for something. God say, I'm not going to fast track this thing. I want you to pay attention to everything that you're gathering while you're going. I want you to pay attention to the leaves that fell off. I want you to pay attention to the shedding, the relationships that had to be called off from you. I want you to pay attention to those moments when it felt like that you were not going to be able to make it through the next day. But then you realize that in the morning, I was your strength, that the joy of the Lord is your strength, that joy came in the morning. But the only way that you understand that joy came in the morning is if you laid down in darkness. The only way that you understand that your tears are cleansing is when you sat up and you cried from the inside, not just crying because of what something looked like, but because, God, I wept from the inside. There is something that is inside of me that is causing me to weep in such this manner. And then God takes those tears and God cleanses. So God doesn't take a shortcut because you ask something, because you ask for something. A lot of times we want the right now. I need this right now. God, I need this. I want this right now. I can see it. I want it right now. But God said, your little eyes, you can only see what you want right now. But what I'm going to do for you is not just going to bless you. It's going to bless your children. It's going to bless your children's children. It's going to break generational curses. It's going to take off bondage. I'm going deeper because God is not just a single God. God don't just give a single blessing. God give multiplications of blessings. That's the type of God that you work with. So when you're asking God for something, your next step is to activate your patience. I asked God for something. And now I got to activate something that's inside of me, because I know that what comes out of my mouth is not in vain. I know at the ending of this, God is going to get glory for this, just because I had sense enough just to pause and say, God is for the asking. God, I'm asking you for these things. I am needing these things. But God said, you're able to see the things that you want. You don't understand that I'm going to do something new and true that is inside of you. I'm going to set you off into a space where people are going to be able to look at you and say, if you're serving a God that done that for you, how can I get some of that God that you sit in the midst of? Your asking is not in vain. Your praying is not in vain. Your patience is not in vain. It's all intentional. It's all intentional, because it is the recipe that is needed for God to get the glory out of your story. Period. Point blank. Again, you can ask for anything that you want from anybody. You can even ask it from the world and you'll probably receive it. But if you're going to ask God for something in this season, something that's going to carry you deeper than a right now fix, something that does not serve the purpose of a Band-Aid, something that is designed to grow you, something that is designed to make you be a light when you enter the room, something that is designed to rename you, then you have to know that while you're asking God for something, God is depending on you to be patient and to wait and understand that he heard what it was that you asked for. But also understand that what it is that you asked for is bigger than what your little eyes can see. God gives you things that the world can't give you, so the world cannot take it away. You live in such a world that is bitter and so confused and so evil. So to be up in a place of where the world didn't give me this and the world can't take it away, you have to be able to sit in a season of patience with God while you're asking. Because the world will beat you down and make you feel like, does this belong to me? The world will have you asking, do this child even belong to me? You carried this child, you birthed this child, now you don't even understand this child. See, that is, the world will have you questioning, but when you're rooted and you're asking, I asked for this baby, I was patient about this baby, then no matter what it is that the enemy may show you against your baby, what you know is that it's not in vain. What I know is that the enemy cannot have my stuff. The world did not give me this baby. God gave me this baby. So I got to activate my prayer. I got to activate my patience, and I got to wait because I ask. God said you have not because you ask not. If you need God to do something with your children, ask God to do something with your children and take your hands off of it. If you need God to do something with your finances, give your finances to God and take your hands off of it. If you need God to do something inside of your household, give your household to God and take your hands off of it. Apply your patience if you're going to invite God in. But understand that you serve a God that's not a right now God. If you need strength right now, you can ask God for strength right now. If you need patience right now, you can ask God for patience right now. But to say that what it is that you ask for, that you're going to be able to see that right now, that's not the God that you serve. That's not God. And for us to be off in a space to feel like we get a chance to push a button, God is activated, blessings are activated. Every blessing that you go through something If you haven't been through something with that career, with those children, with that helpmate, if you haven't been through something, you may want to question the things that you're calling a blessing, because in order for you to have something, you got to go through something in order to be able to appreciate the value of that thing. See, I can't put a value on my blessings. My life can show you how good God has been to me. I can't tell you about the blessings. You can't pay me enough for what it is that God has done for me. I can't give you a price tag to stand up and encourage you. My life, my showing up for God should be paid enough. So again, as I'm wrapping up on this beautiful Tuesday, and I remind myself how beautiful this Tuesday is. Because the reality is even though I'm standing here and I'm sitting here encouraging you, there is somebody that did not wake up this morning. That's the truth. There is somebody that's on the fence of losing their mind. That is the truth. That is somebody that is going through the journey of life and they feel like they are all alone, but that's not my story. But since that is not my story, at least let me get off in a situation of where I can encourage somebody else, because I've been that person that's been on the brink of feeling like they're about to lose their mind. God said, I didn't take you through that for you. I took you through that so you can help somebody else get through. So that's why I sit up and I pause on a Tuesday just to encourage somebody. Encourage somebody to understand that you have not. You want a peace of mind? When was the last time that you showed up to God and say, God, give me a peace of mind? And God told you, I just needed to be me and you. Call off everybody around you. You can't ask God for a peace of mind, but yet and still you want to keep doing everything else that's robbing your peace. You want a peace of mind? You're showing up and you're asking God for a peace of mind. Then take the instructions that God is telling you to take and call off the distractions that are around you. You have not because you ask not. You don't serve a worldly God. You serve the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings. It's something inside of you that got to connect with God. Even though you opened up your mouth and you asked from the flesh, from what you saw, God said she had sense enough to come and say that she can bring that to me. So let me bring her, let me bring him closer to me by using what she asked for, where she's able to see me in it. You serve a God that loves you so much more that he will make you pause. He will make you activate your patience just to keep you from being on repeat, just to break generational curses, just to unwrap bondages. That is the God that you serve. Not a temporary fix, not a let me take a shot of this, not because it feel good, not because it sound good. You serve a God that's going to have you doing things like a anyhow praise. You serve a God that makes you go into the darkest rooms and bring light. That is the type of God that you serve. You serve a God that says, I'm going to count it all joy, not some of it joy. Because I can remember the time when I did not even know who I was. That is the God that you serve. You serve a God that will allow you to go through something and you stand right up to help somebody else get through their stuff. Not that I went through it and I'm done. I went through this so I can help somebody else through. I went through this so you don't even have to go through it. You may have a story, but you don't have to worry about crossing that bridge. I'm going to give you the answers for that. So you serve a God that everything that he does in your life, even your asking, how can I be blessed through my asking? Because you realize that if I had sense enough to ask God for this, that means that somewhere inside of me, I'm saying that God heard me and God can do something with what it is that I've asked for. Your asking is not in vain. No matter how long you feel like you've been sitting on the sideline, no matter how long you feel like you've been passed over, no matter how long you feel like you've been all alone, you're asking. It's not in vain. Look at where you was when you asked. Look at the people that was connected to you when you asked. Look, pull up an old picture of yourself when you ask. Even though it may be moving at the pace of a turtle, guess what? You are moving. You're not that same person of when you stood up in the space of where you asked. You have not because you ask not, and you serve a God that is for the asking. Get in a space and don't be afraid to tell God what it is that you need. But when you ask God for what it is that you need, understand that you serve a God that everything that you ask for, he's going to use it to build you. He's not going to allow it to cheat yourself. See, some of us will show up and God, give me a new car. Give me a six-figure salary. Give me a man. Give me a woman. God said, I love you enough not just to give you a man, not just to give you a woman. I love you so much. I'm going to give you somebody that's going to love you from the inside out. I love you so much that somebody's going to love that little girl, that little boy that's inside of you. I love you so much that I'm going to go above and beyond your asking because your flesh asks. But God says, because you realize that you have not. Because the reality is, if I can do it, I never would have asked God. But where I messed up is I invited God off into that thing. And then God rewrote the story, changed my name, changed my circle. You're asking in this season. I don't care how long you wait. Pull up and wait. Your order is not like everybody else. Don't worry about nobody else that's speeding through their orders and you feeling like somebody is getting something and you're being passed over. Understand that you're asking. The minute that you asked, God had already started working. The minute that you asked, God was waiting on you to open up your mouth. So your asking is not in vain, but God can't give you something just because God want to give it to you. God needs you to ask for it so you can start working on it. So when it comes to pass, you remember that day, that time, that moment, that hour, that darkness that you were standing in when you asked for it. It's all intentional. It's all designed to work out for your story. It's all designed to work out for God's glory. It's all designed to work out to build you up. Don't let the enemy fool you in this season by making you feel like your asking is in vain. You have not because you ask not. And the minute that you ask, activate your patience. And realize that you're so special. You're so unique. You're so divine. You're so purposed. That God is not just going to pull your blessing off the shelf and give it to you. He's going to tailor make it for you. It's going to fit you like a glove. That's the blessing that God has for you. You're asking. What it is that you've asked is not in vain. But if you're not looking at the things that are inside of you, maybe you have not because you have not asked. Ask and watch what happens. Seek. Don't do it the way that your mama did it, your grandmother did it. Find God for yourself and you will find. Knock. Don't worry about nobody else telling you that they couldn't get through the door. Don't worry about the looking like the door is closed and knock. Knock. And it will be open unto you. That is the type of God that you serve. Again, I am not for everybody, but I am for somebody. And my prayer is that this live will find that person or those people on God's timing. Because what I understand is that God's timing is always better than my timing. Because God's timing is the perfect time. I asked you to do something. And that is go out in the world and love on somebody. Go out in this world that's full of hate and darkness and love on somebody. But before you dart that door and you love on anybody, you first stop, pause, break, and you love on yourself. You love on yourself in such a way that you appreciate you today like you've never appreciated yourself tomorrow, that you are inspired, encouraged to wake up tomorrow to be greater than the person that you was today. I love you, and my prayers every time that you hear my voice, that you can feel the love that stirs from my heart. But as much as I love you, it doesn't compare to the God that I serve, that loves you so much more. The God that I serve loves you so much more that he intentionally placed me on pause on a Tuesday in the 12 o'clock hour, just to be an extension of his love and his kindness. I love you so much. Have a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic day. And remember, if you don't remember nothing else, your asking is not in vain, and you have not because you ask not. Ask and apply your patience. God loves you, and so do I.